Let's get introduced to turbochargers. You know, they're showing up on vehicles more and more these days, gas vehicles that is. And of course we have a single turbo on this inline engine. It's on the right side. That means one turbocharger is responsible to feed all cylinders on the engine. We have twin turbocharger setups, and that's going to be where one turbocharger on the left bank feeds the left bank cylinders, and the right bank is of course going to feed the right bank cylinders. Now don't confuse this with the words twin turbocharger on diesels. On some diesels they call them twin turbocharger, and they're really sequential turbochargers. One small turbocharger feeding the larger turbocharger. They have dual spool turbochargers, and on a gasoline engine they call them dual spool, and on a diesel engine many times they call it a twin turbocharger. So we're talking about gas in this training video. Twin turbocharger denotes that there's one for each bank. The turbocharger uses the exhaust engine gases to power an exhaust turbine, which drives a compressor that's going to push more air into the engine. We have the exhaust turbine, which is spun by exhaust gases flowing past it, and it's going to be connected by a shaft to the compressor wheel, and that compressor wheel, or compressor turbine, is what compresses the air. Not exactly the way they do it in your air compressor in the shop, but they are in fact compressing air, and that's what we're doing here, so we can force more air into the engine, and that's going to allow the engine to efficiently burn fuel and thus producing more horsepower. Now a turbocharger is an exhaust-driven turbine. It's going to drive that centrifugal wheel on the left. That wheel is connected directly by a shaft to the wheel on the right, which is going to compress the air. The compressor is usually located between the air cleaner and the engine's intake manifold, and the exhaust turbine is located between the exhaust manifold and the tailpipe. We can see here on the left that's sometimes called the hot side. The exhaust is sometimes called the hot side, the right side called the cold side. When we look at the hot side here, we can see that air, exhaust gas air, is being driven by that wheel. Exhaust gases are piped to the turbine, and it drives that wheel, which is connected to a shaft, which drives the compressor wheel. Here's a wastegate. We have to control how much boost is created at any given moment. And when we look at it, it's going to take the outcoming air from the turbine that's headed to the manifold and control that. It does not control the cold side. It does not control the air compressor side. It does so by controlling the exhaust side, which is directly proportional to the cold side. Here we can see the wastegate. Blow it up for you and show you right here. This is the wastegate. It's going to be connected to a poppet valve, and when we're driving the vehicle under a lot of load with a lot of exhaust gases, we have to control that, and we'll simply bleed off the exhaust gases with a wastegate. And here's the poppet valve on the hot side, red, and we can see that shaft on the wastegate is simply opening or closing it in order to control how much exhaust gas is going to drive the exhaust turbine. Right here in this cutaway, we can see the shaft that connects the exhaust turbine and the intake turbine, and it's in gold right there for us to see. Now it spins at a very high rate of RPM, and it has to be lubricated. Right above that gold shaft we can see that banjo bolt coming in, and it's feeding engine oil to the turbocharger. This is a high maintenance item. You have to always ensure that the turbocharger shaft is getting the correct amount of lubrication so it doesn't deteriorate too quickly.